Alright, I'm not even gonna bother wasting your time with an intro. You guys know what's happening. 4.2 trailer just dropped for Genshin Impact, and let's just react to it and analyze what is going on because there are a lot of interesting details to discuss. Alright, let's get straight into it.
According to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique de l'Analyse Cardinale, the Hydro Archon to be punished via the death sentence.
Okay, let's start. It's spicy right from the beginning. So, when Neuvillette says the Hydro Archon is going to be punished by the death sentence, yes, it is going to happen, and this line is very likely taken from the end of the quest. Now, it is important to note that the lines being said in the trailer are not in sync with what you see on screen. What Hoyoverse does is they cut out the footage from the world quests, the story quests, the Archon quests, and they compile them into the trailer, like a movie trailer. And then they put a bunch of interesting voice lines into the trailer. The trailer and the footage are not in sync. So what you are seeing on screen, Furina crying, this is likely from the start of the quest or midway through the quest. But the line that Neuvillette says, it's an extremely high chance for it to be towards the end of the quest. And yes, the Hydro Archon is going to be executed. Now, whether Neuvillette himself is going to kill Focalors, or whether Focalors is going to die on her own, via the death penalty, obviously, legally, we do not know. But don't be afraid, Furina is going to be fine. Focalors is going to die, Furina is going to be fine. Some of you are going to be confused. You're going to say, how? Furina is Focalors. If Focalors dies, then Furina dies as well. Don't worry about it. You're going to understand during the 4.2 Archon quest. But yes, Furina is going to be playable. She's going to be alive. She's going to be fine. Focalors is going to die.
Punished via the death sentence.
You and I both know that there may be issues with the Primordial Sea.
Oh, god damn it, this tree. When I saw this tree, I knew. And the reason I hate this because I know I'm gonna make a very long video about this tree just by looking at it. Knowing absolutely nothing about it. Just looking at this tree, I know I'm going to be making a very long video about it in 4.2. And the reason I say this is because it looks extremely interesting, in addition to the fact that if you look towards the bottom of the trunk, you can see that the trunk is not connected to the roots, very similar to what you can observe in the inner Irminsul when you go with Scaramouche inside Irminsul itself. But yeah, this tree does look very intriguing.
Everyone on the street who happened to be close to the water didn't have a chance to escape. As the water levels rose, they suddenly disappeared.
Shouldn't gods be all-powerful?
What's done is done. Just trust in me, your Archon. Never mind whether you can truly convince yourself.
Okay, so this is going to be the character showcase. I don't think we need to look at this. So, actually, something interesting that we can mention, I suppose. Focalors is both Numa and Usia. I keep saying Focalors, sorry, Furina. Anyway, Furina is both Numa and Usia. She is likely going to be primarily Usia with the alignment of Numa, probably taken from Focalors. This will make sense in 4.2. And just to reiterate, these are my predictions. I don't actually know if this is true. I'm not even joking with you. I'm dead serious. I do not know if this is true, but my assumption is that Furina herself is Usia, and then she probably takes the Numa alignment from Focalors.
The show begins.
She can summon an Oceanid. Yeah, that's very cool. Also, her clothes change. When she changes forms, it's very cool. The color of her clothes and her hair both change. That's a really nice touch. She's a very well-made character in terms of animation.
Shower me with praise. Let my name echo in.
Okay, so this is just going to be the character showcase. Let's just skip this. Charlotte. That's fine. We're not really interested in this. We are interested in the lore.
Too close to any water that looks strange all the same.
Navia is falling.
There's something ominous about.
Spoiler alert. I don't know what's going to happen, but I can guarantee you Navia is not going to die. You know it, I know it, everyone knows it.
There's something ominous about it. Well, the water, I mean.
The prophecy. Yes. What has been prophesized will be fulfilled.
That's the voice that we just heard, also the boss.
Farina!
So the voice we just heard is very interesting. It sounds like Farina's. I could be wrong. I think this is Fossilor's, the one who was just talking. Let me double check.
Yes. What has been prophesized will be fulfilled.
Yeah, this is almost definitely Fossilor's. Because you have to keep in mind that they have the same voice actor, most likely. Okay.
I, Farina, will use this trial.
This boss seems like an evolved Hydroidolon. Or is it an Oceanid? No, it's most likely not an Oceanid. This is probably a Hydroidolon that's super evolved.
The world, the true meaning of justice!
Also, most likely this is going to be the boss that you have to farm for Fossilors, for those of you interested.
This judgment is fair.
Oh my god, I keep saying Fossilors. I meant Farina.
Just. What is the meaning you would call
You have
this?
never been as
Justice?
superficial as you have presented yourself to be.
No more excuses.
Then why should we acknowledge it?
Fossilor, why did you deceive us?
Okay, this sword is interesting. So when I first saw this sword, my mind instantly went to the Holy Blade of the Narcissan Cruz, which René de Petrichor used in order to absorb the souls of the people into the Master, which was the combination of his consciousness with the consciousness of the Oceanid Laris. Now, after thinking about it a little bit more, I realized that this is probably a key, something related, and it is most likely a key that is connected to the Oratrice Mécanique something, whatever the Cardinal, the machine that they use in Fontaine to judge people. So yeah, this is probably connected to the Oratrice, and yeah, we're gonna learn what its function is in 4.2.
Applaud!
And what you see on screen right now is not from the Archon quest. This is most likely Farina's story quest. What you see right here.
And rejoice!
For just a moment.
And this is Archon quest, obviously. The one over
This
there.
isn't right!
The trial!
Ooh, okay. I did not notice this while watching the live stream. So the clock hand is going to fall from the ceiling.
This isn't right!
So this clock hand, this sword-looking clock hand, the clock hand itself is most likely modeled after the Holy Blade of Narcissan Cruz, which I just talked about when it comes to René de Petrichor, and it's likely going to fall to the table right towards the end of the Narcissan Cruz adventure quest, or sorry, quest series.
Trial of the Hydro Archon!
Seem to remember
the
that.
floor will now
This
begin!
trial is-
I now understand the true purpose behind this position.
This is interesting. So, I have been saying this for a very long time, since patch 4.0. Neuvillette is very likely going to obtain the authority of Hydro, and in patch 4.1 we got a confirmation of this. We now know for almost a fact from his final Ascension voice line that he is going indeed to reobtain his authority from the hands of the usurpers. And what is interesting is that he says that he is going to be judging the gods, and towards the opening of this trailer, he judges Farina.
According to the judgment.
Oh my god, he judges Fothalors. I am mixing them up so badly this video.
Of the Oratrice Mécanique de l'Analyse Cardinal. The Hydro Archon.
Actually, you know what? I correct myself. He says, according to the judgment of the Oratrice Mécanique de l'Analyse de Cardinal, which means he's not doing it by his... he's basically just using the Oratrice's judgment. Okay, never mind. I take it back. So, yeah. After hearing that, this might actually be... The voice line might actually be towards the midway of the Archon quest. After focusing on him talking about the Oratrice. But anyway, let's just continue.
Now understand the true purpose behind this position. You are a devious one.
So, lots of interesting things happening in succession. First of all, we have Neuvillette. Maybe he reclaims his authority, maybe not. I think this is after he reclaims it, because he looks very strong over here. And then... this whale. So, in the live stream, they call the whale the visitor from the far side of the Sea of Stars. And that is very interesting because if you remember, on Surumi Island, there was the boatman. And the boatman, towards the end of his quest, once you collect all the souls of the denizens of Surumi Island and return them to him, he says the following. Let me see if I can remember it. He says, "The far side of the river Hay, the golden oak is yonder hoy, the golden wormwood on the ground, golden stones lie all around." And the whale, or the narwhal, is called the Star-Devouring Narwhal, and his title is the Visitor from the Far Side. Once again, far side of the river, his visitor from the far side of the Sea of Stars. And this is most likely the Abyss. So, very interesting connection that we can draw here, but let's continue the trailer. There is a lot to say about this whale. Okay, so this is something that I did not expect. Tartaglia is actually going to be fighting the whale. I definitely did not expect this. And one other interesting detail is that the whale comes out of... he comes out of the opera Epicles. Okay. Once again, we saw the sword, so it's likely what happened is that the sword is either resealing the whale or it broke and then opened the whale's seal. When we see the sword towards the start of the video.
This one for some more.
Actually, let's focus on what... Oh, okay. Can you guys see it? That was a lucky pause from me. The symbol of the quantum element from Honkai. Anyway, this is a cool detail. Anyway, let us focus on what Neuvillette is saying, because he is saying some interesting stuff.
Now understand the true purpose behind this position. You are a devious one, Fussalor.
So once again, he does not say Farina. Obviously, Farina and Fussalor could be the same person. I highly doubt they are. And Neuvillette says, "You are a devious one, Fussalor." This is likely when he realizes that he has been tricked, which is further highlighted towards the end of the video. We'll see it. So yeah, honestly, it seems like Neuvillette is going to reclaim his authority.
Everyone's...
Ooh, this is very cool. This is very cool. Once again, I did not notice this while watching the live stream. So the whale is coming out of, or coming up from the primordial sea, and then it is cracking the sky. Okay, and then you can see Tartaglia's constellation on the sky. So most likely what is going on here, or what this symbolism is showing us, which I think is going to be confirmed, this is very interesting. The whale is most likely the constellation itself, and this sets a precedent for the constellations of the other characters in Genshin Impact. Do you see what I'm saying here? If the whale coming out of the primordial sea into the fake sky, cracking it and revealing the abyss, is creating the crack through the constellation, there is a very high chance that beyond the fake sky in the abyss, there is the there are the constellations of the other inhabitants of Teyvat. This could be very interesting, this idea. Anyway, we'll see. Or maybe perhaps Child could be special, because Skirk also said that she saw it within him, which means that this could be unique to Child.
What?
But regardless, very interesting, because you have the fake sky, you have the abyss, and you have the primordial sea, and you have Tartaglia's constellation, and the whale itself, the narwhal itself, all in a single shot.
What should I do?
Also, the voice in the background is Farina crying.
Prophecy that you've been fretting over should now be in full swing.
So this is the voice of Skirk. Okay. And this is why I am making this video. Honestly, I was not going to be making a reaction or an analysis to the 4.2 trailer, but then I saw Skirk, and there are a lot of interesting things about Skirk. First of all, I want you to take note of the hairpin or the ornament on her head, whatever it is, I'm not sure what it is. The, I suppose, artifact on her hair. This hairpin is extremely similar to the hairpin of another woman from Honkai Impact 3rd called Bella. And what's interesting about Bella is that, aside from the fact that she is a Honkai beast, she is also the friend of Siren. And Siren is the true Herrscher of the Void inside Kiana Kaslana. Or I should say the K243, whatever it's called. Not the real Kiana Kaslana, the white-haired one. Because the real one is Durandal. Anyway, the Honkai beast Bella, or Berenice, which is the name of the Honkai beast itself, but let's just call her Bella, is extremely similar in design to Skirk. And Bella is also the friend of Siren. And Siren, like I said, is the true Herrscher of the Void. But what's interesting is that when Siren is inside Kiana, that design, when Kiana awakens the Herrscher of the Void inside her, that design is what inspires the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles in Genshin Impact, who obviously is one of the most important characters in Genshin, because she takes the Abyss sibling and then transports the Traveler, or most likely transports the Traveler into the future, where he awakens and finds Paimon. Now, lots of interesting things here. First of all, Paimon, you know what? Let's just talk about Paimon in a different video. I don't want to go into that rabbit hole. But if Bella is indeed the inspiration for Skirk's design, then Skirk is most likely not human, because that would imply, by virtue of just correlating the two, that Skirk is acquainted with the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles. And if Skirk is indeed acquainted with the Sustainer to the same capacity, or to a similar enough capacity, I should say, to how Bella is acquainted with Siren, then there is a very high chance that, number one, Skirk is not a human. Most likely she is a god or an abyss creature. She could be a human, but most likely a god. That's my personal prediction based on what I see in front of me. But more importantly, and this is something that answers a question that I've been asking myself for a very, very long time, regarding the boatman. Earlier in this video, I mentioned the boatman from Tsurumi Island. He says, once we collect the souls, and even before we collect the souls, he says the far side of, no, he says the near side of the river. But once we collect the souls and bring them back to him, he mentions the far side of the river, the Golden Oak, and the Golden Palace. And he talks about his lady, who he calls the Lady of the Golden Halls, who owns a silver mansion on the moon. And this is such an interesting detail. Because if you think back to the to the Narwhal, this Narwhal is, again, called the Visitor from the Far Side of the Sea of Stars. So there could be a connection between what the boatman calls the far side of the river, and the Lady of the Golden Halls, and Skirk with the Sustainer. Now, I do want to say,
should now be in full swing.
I don't think that Skirk and the Sustainer are actually friends, but they are probably acquainted. And the Sustainer could be the Lady of the Golden Halls that, she could be, that the boatman mentions, his lady. Now, is she actually the Lady of the Boatman, the Sustainer? Maybe not, but she could be, just because of the correlation that I just mentioned right now. But nonetheless, it is a very interesting detail to mention and think about. Now, obviously, the lady could be a character that we have never seen before, just a completely new character. But, once again, based on the connections between Bella and Siren, and if we superimpose that into Genshin Impact, and then correlate Skirk with the Sustainer, and then remember that Skirk is related to the whale, who is called the Visitor from the far side of the river, and Skirk is Tartalia's master. Or sorry, he's called the Visitor from the far side of the Sea of Stars, but then the boatman mentions the far side of the river. Essentially, it's the same thing, or similar enough at the very least. we can perhaps make the assumption that the Sustainer is the Lady of the Boatman. Not confirmed, just an interesting thought that I wanted to mention.
I suppose this would also be the justice that belongs to you. All will eventually end in a magnificent...
So yeah, this is simple. We see Fontaine getting flooded. I highly doubt that the people are going to die. Maybe a very chunk of the population will be wiped out, but I highly, extremely doubt that Fontaine is going to be destroyed. The reason I say this is very simple. Hoyoverse does not have the balls to do that. They absolutely cannot. They are super pussies in terms of killing characters, especially on a genocidal level. Like, Hoyoverse will kill a character every now and then, but I highly doubt they have the balls to actually show genocide on the screen.
and dramatic trial.
But that's fine, obviously. Here you can see Fontaine getting flooded once again. And the one talking in the background, by the way, is Fossilors.
Farewell, Neuvillette. I hope you've enjoyed the part you played these 500 years.
Yeah, once again, this is Fossilors. After Neuvillette says that she is going to be executed, she tells him goodbye, and then she dies, and Farina is going to be playable. Those of you who like Farina, don't worry, she'll be fine. Is there anything interesting here? Let me see. No. These are just garbage events. Oh, actually, I do want to mention this very quickly. I hope this has interesting information about the Hydro Archon, because I do want to talk about Igeria. I don't think we hear Igeria's voice in this trailer, or Igeria, however it's pronounced. But I do want to make a video about Igeria or Igeria, and Fossilors and Farina and Neuvillette. Hopefully this weapon has interesting lore. But yeah, that's pretty much going to be it. Is there anything that I have forgotten? Once again, Skirk is unlikely to be a human. Tartalia's master. In my honest opinion, she is most likely a god, similar to the Sustainer of Heavenly Principles, inspired by Bella, obviously inspired by Bella. And yeah, that's pretty much it. I hope you guys found this video useful or enjoyed it. I will obviously be making a significantly more time-consuming video very, very soon. I'll be making a video regarding the Narcissus Cruise adventure, along with Caterpillar and Arlecchino, and a lot of psychology with Carl Jung and Sigmund Freud. But the video will be coming out sometime around November 8th or November 7th. Stay tuned for that. I suspect many of you are going to like it. I really do. It's going to be very consuming and very time-taxing, but it will be worth it. Until then, thank you all for watching. Take care, and I'll see you very, very soon, hopefully.